Hello and welcome back to Inexperienced. My name is Aditya. आज के हमारे गेस्ट है निशान मित्तल. He is the founder of the Testament. He's a singer. He's a songwriter. He's a composer. The list of the things that he does goes on and on. But we had the chance to talk few on this podcast. One of them being Seneca, an interesting idea which also holds a lot of significance because of the time we live. I believe that. And I think it's great that somebody is taking that initiative to build what he's building. But we also talked about his how his passion for music grew when he was growing up. Uh, Apart from that, I also got a, an great insight, I guess. Like at this point, I have testament from two people. Nishant, you can thank me later for this plugin. But the testament is that guitar doesn't get you girl for some reason. I don't know why, but it doesn't. But we discovered what gets girls. And if you want to watch that, if you want to know what that is, you have to watch the full episode. Obviously, right? That's an obvious plugin. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you do the usual regime, which is liking, sharing, subscribing. Like if you enjoy it, do the regime now. So I hope you enjoy it again. The episode with Nishant Mittal begins in three, two, one.
What's the equipment you're using?
Uh, I have a mic
Which mic?
and I
Which mic?
use. Okay, I forgot the name of the company. Let me just check that. It's Mono. I think if I'm pronouncing the name right, I think it's a Korean company.
Can you show it to me?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, it's a condenser. Okay.
Yeah, it's a condenser. Yeah. And I have webcam
hmm
that I use. So these are the two main equipments that
Perfect.
I'm using.
Let's go.
Sure. So first of all, like what are your preferences about like books? I wanted
I'm
to know,
sorry.
like
Have
because
we
you've been
begun?
reading so
Is
many
it
books.
started?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, let's
it has
begin.
started.
Yes, you were saying.
I was saying like what are your preferences in book?
My
Like any
preferences in
your
books.
particular
I love nonfiction.
yeah.
I've read a lot of fiction, but
Hmm.
uh, I really like nonfiction. And my highest shelf of books is now biographies, autobiographies. You know,
Okay. So any person in particular that you
I
really
love
like?
a lot of people. Shoe Dog, uh, Phil Knight's
Okay.
biography is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
Grinding It Out. I mean, so many biographies. Like in Indian context, I'll
Yeah.
tell you Havel's biography, The Untold Story of Kimat Rai Gupta. His son wrote it. It's a beautiful book.
Yeah.
And there are
Got it.
many good. Da Vinci's
Okay.
biography.
Sorry to interrupt, but it seems like your video has.
No,
You were saying about
yeah, I
autobiographies.
love auto.
Like which one?
So I can give you autobiographies by genre. There are so many. Yeah,
Really?
I mean, if you want a sports
Okay.
guy, I like.
Huh.
Uh, it's not about the bike by Lance Armstrong. If you're a musician, I'd say Acid for the Children and Ghost Rider Travels on the Healing Road. Acid for the Children is by Flea, the Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist,
Okay.
legend,
Okay.
and
Okay.
Ghost Rider Travels on the Healing Road is by Neil Peart, Rush's drummer, band Rush drummer,
Acha. Okay.
legend, absolute
Okay.
legend. And these two people have written such good books, life changing books. Actually, in fact,
Hmm.
like Acid for the Children changed my life. I read Acid for the Children and my life literally changed. And same with the Ghost Riders.
Like what was in it? Like sorry to interrupt, but like what was in it that really kind of made you feel ki it has changed my life?
So yeah,
Anything specific
absolutely.
that
I
made you
mean,
feel
we
that way?
plan a lot in life. We keep planning and we want to plan everything. And that's how
Yeah.
people live their lives. They make grand goals, grand plans, and then they follow up on those plans and so on and so forth. But Flea was very different. Flea was just floating in the air, man. He was doing heroin, which shared needles, and
Okay.
wasted youth and drugs, and everything was everywhere. And he was just, but he was a friend, and he loved his people, and all he cared about was making his people feel good, and being something with those people. And he was originally a trumpet
Yeah.
player, but then his friends, John Frusciante and Hillel Slovak, asked him to play bass guitar. And so he started playing bass just for those people. And then Red Hot Chili Peppers became the biggest band in the world. And because of this friendship, because he was a friend, because he believed,
Yeah.
because a lot of good bands get formed and then they break up. But Red Hot Chili Peppers
Yeah.
stuck for 40 years, right? Because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
relationships. And Flea taught me without ever being preachy. He never said this is how you live a life or whatever. He just wrote his story, and from that story I inferred that it's all about people, it's all about relationships. Everything is about relationships. Whom you know, how well you know
Yeah.
them, you know, and how much they like you, and it's just unbelievable, man. There's no Oh, it changed my life. It literally changed my life. Seriously. I was a serious
Great.
planner, and I was a serious goal oriented guy,
Yeah.
and now I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck. Seriously. Just let life,
Yeah.
happen and do your bit. Yeah,
Happen.
absolutely. That's what I
Do
learned
your bit.
from Flea.
Got it. Got it. Like when I discovered you, I did through the content you put on
Hmm.
LinkedIn, and then I kind of followed you for I think few weeks. Then I was like, okay, this guy has something. Like I like your observations, whatever you share. I think I had to like message you. But once I started kind of learning more about you, then I moved to YouTube and kind of search. So in your profile photo, I knew there is a TED Talk photo, so I know I had to listen to that. And but in the process of listening to that video, I was like, Acha, I discovered your music. And I was like, okay, this was a little unexpected. Although, in all fairness, I think I read more about the your entrepreneurial journey than the musician one over your LinkedIn. So it was a little unexpected. I was like, okay, that's great. But one thing I found out in your Spotify, I think it's about your profile over Spotify that you don't had any traditional training over music or
Yeah.
singing. So where did that influence came from? Like that
So
is
my
interesting
father
to know.
used to sing
To
a little.
okay, okay,
We come from a middle class family, and there used to be a blackout, right? Lights out. And
yeah,
when we used to have
yeah,
a lights out in Vikaspuri, my everybody used to get together, and then my father used to sing, and it used to be a beautiful thing.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
started singing, and my mother used to play tabla as a child. So I never saw her playing
Oh,
tabla, but she used to play that
okay.
little keyboard. And they were
Hmm.
interested, my parents were interested in music. My father, especially, was extremely into music as a listener,
Okay,
not as a musician, but
okay,
he was a
okay,
music buff. And so he
okay.
introduced me to a lot. We used to have a record player, a gramophone, a literal gramophone, that vinyl record. And we used to listen
Huh.
to Elvis Presley and also Angel Bird Humperdinck and all sorts of records for hours. And sometimes I used to put them and sleep, and then they just kept
Yeah,
playing. So
yeah.
my family was inclined towards music despite never being musicians themselves. But I
Hmm.
I'm a bit of an extreme person. So whatever I do,
Okay.
I just go to the end. And yeah,
All in, yeah,
absolutely
basically.
all in, and there's
Yeah.
no holds barred, no punches pulled. It's
Hmm.
no restraint. I just go and
Yeah.
strike it with everything I have. So I literally became a musician. I started playing when I was in 8th grade, 12 years old. And
Yeah.
then I kept
Yeah.
playing, and I saw school, my classmates playing music, and then they just, you
Hmm.
know, for a year or two, and then they just
Yeah.
leave it. I kept on it.
Yeah.
I kept through it in school. I kept through it in college.
Yeah.
And college is
College.
when people start becoming musicians and then falling off as musicians, right? And then first year, second year,
Hmm.
third year, fourth year. And I was like, I'm still playing. Everybody around me
Yeah.
started to prepare for jobs and stuff. And I am running
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
startup, but I'm still playing music. I came
Huh.
out with a song called
Yeah.
Kashmir, which was a big song for me.
Huh.
It
Yeah.
Anupam
Yeah. Yeah.
Kher and Sohail, all so many people.
Swear share. Yes.
And
Yeah.
you know then after college, everybody I knew as a
Hmm.
musician was no longer a musician.
Yeah.
And my interest
Yeah.
really skyrocketed as a musician after my college also.
Yeah.
It just kept growing. I wanted to make it as a musician, and I still want to make it. I really dream of the success that Pratik Kohar has, or let's say Lucky Ali has.
Uh-huh.
These kinds of people.
Yeah.
I think I'm just as good a musician as them. In fact, I feel I'm better. But I
You have to do that personal
yeah, yeah,
plugin, man. Like that's like necessary.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I still believe in
Yeah.
my music. I believe, and my
Yeah.
music has become a little successful. My songs have over almost 2 lakh streams on Spotify now, all by themselves,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I'm not a promoter. I don't promote my songs like that. I don't have that machinery going for me. It's totally
Mm-hmm.
independent, totally organic, and 2 lakh streams. Whoa. I never thought that would happen. Two of my songs, Acha Hua and
Mm-hmm.
Khwahish, they both have
Quite, yeah.
50,000 streams each. It's like awesome, right? This is awesome. And whoever
Yeah.
listens to those songs likes them. They say that, oh, yeah, this was a nice song. This is a great song. So I've heard nobody saying that, I don't like your songs. So I do believe that I can make it as a musician. And that's a dream I'm nurturing, uh, you know,
Mm.
very, very close to my
Yeah.
heart. I've kept it very safe and I just would never want to leave it.
Yeah, yeah. I saw your like pinned tweet over Twitter that I don't want to be underrated
Yeah, yeah.
anymore.
So people come to me and say that you're very underrated, and people have written
Yeah,
tweets
I'm like,
about it, like I'm so underrated. I'm like, I
uh,
don't want to be underrated. I want to be overrated.
underrated any
you know, just make me
overrated.
overrated now. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's yeah.
yeah. Cool. But like as you didn't like and I don't come from someone who understands music properly. I'm definitely a listener. I enjoy music, but maybe I'm not the one who can create it. But like did you face any problems because you didn't had any traditional training as when you started out as an 18 not 18-year old in your 8th
No,
standard?
no, no.
Like
I
when you officially
no.
started to sing and
It's
all?
just
No.
music is something that you should do without training. Like Beatles never
Yeah.
got training. They don't know how to read music. And they're the
Yeah.
Beatles and many, many good musicians. Like almost all of the
Yeah.
great musicians that we know are self taught, right? And so am
Uh-huh.
I. So I,
Uh-huh.
it's
Yeah,
just
that's
it.
true.
I just want to be, and because the beauty is when you start learning from somebody or when you start learning in a formally educated way, you lose
Hmm.
your individuality a bit
Okay. How? But
because there's a way of training. There's a way
hmm.
of how things go, and once you
Okay.
learn that way, your randomness sort of,
You can experiment
no,
and
you do
that's what you mean
experiment, but
basically.
how random were
Okay.
you before that? That sort of fades away.
Okay.
you know let's say you had a way
Oh,
of doing it
okay.
and it was completely wrong. Let's say if you were singing with
Hmm.
a wrong technique, right? But that
Okay.
wrong technique was you. It was individual,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Once you train,
Yeah.
you lose that wrongness, which is very important in my opinion. As a musician, all
Okay.
what matters is what new you bring to the table, right? And new is
Hmm.
generally wrong, is what I've learned.
Huh.
So
Yeah. New is generally wrong and not heavily accepted. Both.
yeah, so that's that. I don't believe in
So like
training,
yeah.
formal training.
So
In
like
fact, formal training,
formal
I do
training.
not believe in education also. Formal education, I think it's a scam. Like you must be an engineer, we must be engineers. I'm an engineer, and
Like
nobody.
engineer turned into an entrepreneur and a
Yeah, no,
musician.
and you,
To
so are
put it
you. So
that way.
you're
Yeah.
podcasting. Didn't get trained for getting podcasting, doing podcast,
No.
and
Absolutely
whatever
not. No.
training you got as an engineer or whatever you're studying. I don't think you know that, right?
Yeah. No.
Right?
No. I absolutely had
Yeah,
no
and
idea.
so
Hmm.
once you pass out as an engineer, you're gonna be a scam artist. So because you don't know engineering,
Yeah.
so when to do real
Yeah.
engineering, you've got to teach yourself.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's self-taught.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
that's everything that anybody good. So I'll tell you a very good example. Airplanes came first.
Okay. Hmm.
Aerodynamics came later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
That's true.
like airplanes,
Yeah.
Wright brothers were high school grad kids. They didn't know engineering. They made an
Yeah.
airplane work, And then people started
Hmm.
figuring out how to study aerodynamics. Practice
Yeah.
comes first, theory
Hmm.
comes later, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everything good in what we are doing as is,
Yeah. The apple fell down first, then gravity came, right? Basically, the name at least,
yeah,
in some sense.
absolutely, the apple come, it happened practically, and then people started figuring out how to theorize it,
Uh,
and that's what happened.
But in some sense, it's also, we can say that it's true. Maybe that the thing that we find out theoretically, maybe it was present always. We just didn't had the eye to look at, in some
Yeah, but
sense,
what I mean
right?
is, as far as practicing is concerned, education, what value does education provide? That's what I'm talking about.
Huh.
When you're talking about creativity, when you're talking about people making things, when you're talking about
Hmm.
whatever, I don't think education helps.
Hmm. I think one of the problems that I really have with education system is that it doesn't make you think. Like they don't teach you how to think.
Mhm,
They teach you to do things like learn certain things and just mug it up and like vomit over a piece of paper, but don't think like सोचो नहीं कैसे करते like if you have been faced by a
mhm,
problem, like you are not, if you help other person, that's called
mhm.
cheating. Basically you can't take help of someone, you can't build teams. Basically if you do that in exam, that's you're cheating. So if you do that, but you don't know it, even taught to teach.
Mhm,
Basically if you, I face a problem with you, like how do you deal
mhm,
with it? Like I face a 20, if I face a problem as a 20-year-old, I'm not like, okay, let's go to a notebook
mhm,
and see the answer. I'm like, this is the, I have to deal with the cards I've
mhm,
dealt with, right? Basically, I have few things. What are the factors that are in my
mhm,
control? What are things that are not in my control? That comes when you
mhm,
think, and they don't teach you
mhm,
that. I think that's essentially the biggest problem I
mhm.
have.
No, there are. I get that, and I also agree with that to some extent.
Yeah,
Uh, in
yeah,
some ways, it limits your. But my point is that we got to rely on ourselves. We got to start
yeah,
self teaching is very important, and that's what I believe in. As a musician, as an entrepreneur, as an engineer, or even as a writer.
yeah,
So you like my writings, you know. Nobody taught me how to read. Sorry, write. I read books. I liked a
yeah,
few writers, and then I started,
mm,
you know, I've been writing since forever, songs, stories, whatever. So I wrote
yeah,
because I wanted to learn how to write. And nobody taught me
yeah,
writing, and nobody can teach you writing,
yeah,
right? So, but people
yeah.
do, and I don't think that's
Mm.
the way to go.
Yeah, one thing though, like I've also heard story to some similarity is that ki, like a lot of people when they started writing they could just write with the rhymes, and I am trying to learn to how to write poem for a while now, and I to some sense I have a difficulty understanding rhymes, how to put that, how to make it sound similar. So did you face any problem when you started out like writing, or was it always
No,
familiar
no,
in
no.
some
So
sense?
I used to read a lot, you know. Uh,
Okay.
Always as a child, I used to just keep reading comic books
Yeah,
again and again. And so one comic book I'm reading like 50, 60 times, you know, because there were less
yeah.
comics. If there are no comics at home
Mm,
and there's just one, I've read it
mm,
so many times that you can't imagine, right? And
yeah,
what happens is when you reread stuff, you know, you
yeah, yeah,
notice the nuances and what makes writing great. So what
yeah,
now
yeah,
happens is when I watch a movie, I can dub the
huh,
movie, I can remember the lines. I
yeah,
can actually remember the lines because I'm looking at it as a writer and that reader,
mm,
and I'm watching that
yeah,
movie as a person who really appreciates good writing, right?
yeah,
So it's just when you read too much and a lot, you
mm,
spend hours and hours on reading, you basically,
mm,
figure out a way to write like those people. That's the
mm.
secret. And I can rhyme anytime, you know? So,
Yeah, like now you have a lot of practice. Now you just
yeah,
it's in your
yeah,
head. You can just
yeah,
do it from
absolutely.
get go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, just a random questions. Like have you, like how many romantic songs have you written that been like kind of you have on your Spotify or in YouTube?
Romance is something I don't write much because I find it cringe,
Huh.
and and like so many people are writing about romance, but you know.
Wow.
But
So
there
yeah,
are a few songs.
but
So there's Kya Khayal Hai,
hmm,
there's Jaza. Jaza is an out and out romantic song. Khwahish
okay,
is not, I wrote it about a co-founder leaving, so it's not a romantic song, but it has romantic
okay,
connotations. So
okay.
Jaza, Kya Khayal Hai,
Huh,
and
huh.
Kya Khayal Hai is not even on, Spotify. It's a very old song, so I don't
Spotify.
even count it. But Jaza is definitely
Okay,
a romantic song, and it has worked to an
okay,
extent. Apart from
okay.
Jaza, I
Huh.
can't think of any romantic song I wrote.
So any person who like ever texted you maybe or like in LinkedIn or maybe Instagram saying that hey sang this song to my girlfriend and she's impressed. Maybe anything something like that. Have you ever got a
I
text like
got a
that?
text saying that
Yeah.
I played Jaza to my boyfriend uh,
Hmm.
while on a long drive, and
Okay.
that is the closest I've ever come. So
Okay. I think that still counts. That
that's
still
beautiful.
counts, I
So
guess.
she sent me a
Huh,
video,
that's
and
beautiful.
she said like I made him listen to it 10 times, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah. That's great. No, like in some sense, it's a beautiful feeling. Like I also remember one of the episodes that I did with someone. He got a job offer that, like after someone from the internet saw our episode, and he was like, "Okay, this guy speaks good. Maybe he has some understanding of business. Okay, let's give him an offer." The guy ended up declining it because he had something other things at his plate. But like when you create something and some people find joy through it, or maybe some people find it relatable, the feeling is great, right? Like, okay, maybe
Nothing
I just
comes
did it out of
close to that feeling in this
nothing comes
world.
close, right?
Nothing,
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
nothing. Like I
Yeah,
live for that feeling. I this is
yeah,
that's my reason for being. I just want to
yeah.
make things like products as an entrepreneur, and songs and
Uh-huh.
stories and films and whatever I want to make.
Yeah, yeah,
I just want to
yeah,
make for that feeling. Like when somebody comes to
yeah,
me and says, "Hey, I just, played that song and it was such I want
yeah.
to play that song myself. I can't sing it." And it's just unbelievable, man. I envy Pratik Kohar that so many people have covered his songs, and Lucky Ali, and I covered
Yeah,
their
yeah,
songs.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I want people to,
Mm,
I would love for that moment to arrive when people are covering my
yeah.
songs, and it's
Like
just
like the happiness in their eyes is that like suppose when they feel good about themselves by sharing something
yeah,
you created,
absolutely.
like you created a song and they were like, I played this in my group and everyone is like, bro, you have such a good like music taste, and suddenly you feel good about
Exactly.
yourself that I have a good music taste.
Absolutely.
And when they share something like that, you're like, wow. Right, so that is like I have only had one interaction, but it has been like special in some sense. I think you have a little more than I have,
No,
but I
it's
think
not
it's still
it's not
it's
comparative,
not
but yeah,
comparable.
but
I'm saying,
I
of course,
it's just the most beautiful feeling ever. Thank you for
it's
reminding
just the
about
most beautiful. Yeah,
just reminding about me about that feeling. Yeah, like just remembering that feeling
yeah, yeah.
gave me so much joy.
See, like, that's I love what conversations like. It can go anywhere,
Absolutely.
and you will like, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's fine. But okay, okay. It's not like जितने भी सॉन्ग्स हुए थे बाकी लाइक ख्वाहिश एंड अच्छा हुआ एंड बट दी मेरा दोस्त वैभव बोंदो like that seemed a little different than the other ones. It seemed more like a rapping one. I vibe to it to the fastest as compared to other
Mhm.
songs. Like how that came into
So
picture. Like is your Vaibhav Bandhu a real friend or maybe imaginative
so
friend?
I first of all, my music, I try to be as broad as possible. So rock is heavy metal, acha hua is
Okay.
soft, jaza is acoustic, and this. So there's a lot of genres. Then there's hard rock, mehman is hard rock, saath is hard rock, the soft rock, pop rock, all sorts. So anyways, a rap. And mera dost Vaibhav Bandhu, listen to rap a lot. I've grown up listening to Eminem and
Really?
stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
across the board.
Okay. Okay.
And uh, Mera Dost Vaibhav Bandhu was something that I really, really feel strongly about. So I have friends, these friends, they are great people. I can't name those friends, obviously, but they are nicest of people, you know. They're beautiful people,
Okay.
absolutely lovely
Hmm.
people. And I
Yeah.
saw how society treated them, man. It wasn't nice.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm also a very average looking guy, and I'm also not. But what happens is I could somehow become a musician and an entrepreneur, TED Talk. So I like society was a little bit kinder to me. But people who who were just normal good people, caring people,
Yeah.
nice people, people who just
Yeah.
lived their lives like good human beings. Like
Mhm.
society treated them like dirt, man. Nobody gave a shit about them,
Yeah.
and it's just so
Yeah.
heartbreaking. And
Yeah.
that's how I started with Mera Dost Weber Bandhu. So Abhishek Pawar, my producer, he came up with the melody, the rap, the
Okay.
background melody, the music.
The
Yeah,
yeah.
and I was like, I want to write something on it. Can I do it by? And he said, yeah, sure. I started writing a song
Mm,
on it, and then I tore that
mm,
song apart, and I started with a rap
mm.
called Mera Dost Weber Bandhu. And that's when we
Yeah.
recorded the song, and I couldn't promote that song, man. Unfortunately, there was no playlists I
Yeah.
could pitch it to. I couldn't
Yeah.
promote the song, the Facebook ads didn't work. But everybody who's heard that song says that that song is fucking magic. But
I like that song. Yeah.
unfortunately, it just couldn't go anywhere. Like Mera Dost Weber Bandhu. Like it was like the perfect metaphor, you know. So
The perfect
yeah,
plug in, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Acha, one thing, like I was listening to, I forgot the name of the person. Like she's a DJ and a singer as well. Uh, she was saying that like sometimes how they have a writing ritual in some sense, that they need to sit every day and they just give it maybe 1 hour every day to write so that they in some sense feel connected. They're not, how do I say this? Like because I'm gonna sound very naive
No, 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 that's okay.
coming from
Yeah.
someone who doesn't understand this thing, but like in like I used to do this, that when I write every day, I like writing my thoughts and in some sense journal. So when I do it every day, the way I'm able to articulate my feelings are way better on other comparable to days when I take a break. Like I didn't do it for 3 days, and then do I do it on the fourth day? It's like a gap. So does that happen when you write songs or rap? Is it similar?
I mean, there has to be, uh, you know, ebbs and flows. So you can't be monotonous
Yeah,
about it. Like one, you obviously try
yeah,
to write every day or try to play music every day. You practice every day. Practice is
yeah,
paramount, right? Nothing comes to close to
yeah.
the beauty and importance of practice. However, breaks are just as important, you know? Yeah,
Okay.
because what happens, you practice every day, but one day you don't practice. And when you come back to the guitar next day, it's magic. Magic happens, you know? Because the
Okay.
muscle starts like it's a muscle. Every creativity is a muscle, your
Yeah,
hands are, when you're playing guitar, it's a muscle.
yeah.
And muscle
Mm,
exercised every day is great, but exercise
yeah.
sometimes feels better when you take a break,
Huh.
right? Yeah, like
It
came
does.
came
Yeah.
back after a couple of days of break, and then you're like feeling even better, right? So
Yeah.
practice every day, but don't feel bad
Mm,
about the breaks is what I say. And I so I've launched 15 songs as of now, and I want to keep,
mm,
there are a few songs in the pipeline and so on, so I can keep writing songs. And I try to write every as often as I can. However, I just make sure that it doesn't become a job. It doesn't
yeah.
become like a rote kind of a process which bores me, right? And
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
let it flow like water. It's free, you know. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but in the flow, I make sure that I just don't leave it behind. Sometimes when
Hmm.
people are just giving themselves too much of leeway, they just go forget
Yeah.
practice. I don't do that. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
very tight,
Mm,
but
mm.
I don't, you know, force myself to do anything.
Yeah. Got it. So like you usually release songs on a monthly basis, or it's not like
So
something
last year I
like a
released
routine
five
thing?
songs. So
Okay.
a song takes 2 months to make for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I think it's you and like it's you are doing everything, or like maybe you have
The
certain people
producer,
to work with.
it's just me. I play all the instruments, I do vocals, I compose, write the lyrics. Everything is done by me. And then the recording,
Hmm.
Mixing, mastering, production is done by Abhishek Pawar. So he's a
Okay,
friend,
got it.
and he's my buddy. I We connected in 2012, 11. I taught him guitar first, 10
Okay.
years ago.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, you helped him get some girls, so he
That's the biggest myth.
promised to help
Nobody
with
gets
production.
girls with guitar.
No.
It's just that's the
Oh,
biggest. That's
it's just
why
a
I
myth.
got trapped in this. I mean, I thought I'll get girls, but what I got was just
But
guys coming to me
yeah,
and saying guitar sikha de.
yeah, yeah.
So it was
He,
just,
so basically, guys were coming you to get into trap. It's also like
no, no,
basically,
no. So everybody
कि
has
वो
that
भी उस
wrong
trap में फंस.
perception. Like guitar is gonna
हाँ
get you
हाँ.
girl is the wrong perception.
Yeah,
you know
perception.
so
Okay.
I got wrong.
Yeah.
I was in that wrong perception. That's why I got into guitar. And then a lot of guys
Yeah.
also thought that I am getting girls, but I wasn't getting girls. I was just
हाँ.
getting guys who wanted to get girls
Guys
with guitar. It's
with
it's it's
guitar.
it's a big scam.
They were, yeah, yeah. Everybody was part of the same
Yeah,
group.
everybody was thinking wrong.
Yeah, like,
Everybody collectively
yeah.
was wrong
Every
about it. That's the beauty of it. uh,
There's one person I also kind of hosted. He used to play. He also plays guitar, and he said the same thing. Like I also asked him, like, bro, like how many days in a week are you getting laid? And he was like, bro, it's been a while. I don't even remember the last day. So I was like,
no,
yeah,
no,
bro.
man.
That like it kind of makes me question: should I
No, no, no,
learn
do
guitar or
not.
not? But
Hey, look, if you want to get girls, you get abs.
yeah,
That's what get girls.
get
So
abs.
I'm
I think that's
no,
also a
no,
myth,
that's
man.
not a
I
myth.
know
That's
people.
not a myth. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
abs get girls. In fact, I'm trying to get abs now.
okay. Let's see.
So I'll
Let's
tell
see
you in a
how
couple
that
of
goes.
months what happens about that.
Yeah, yeah. Even I am in the process, so even maybe if I'll have some lead, I'll let you know.
Yeah, give me insights. Give me insights on what happened.
I'll give you insight
Yeah.
for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, sure. So, Acha, you're also building
Yeah.
Seneca now, right? How that idea came up. But first of all, I read your open pitch. Okay, that was interesting. Like I was the first time I read about an open pitch because you clearly said that raising fund it's not your strength, but other things are. So I really appreciate that. I like reading to that, got some insights. But like, how did Seneca came to?
So I was always worried about smartphone addiction. I I care
Okay,
about smartphone addiction a lot, and I was like, this is a big problem. So the
yeah,
smartphone addiction was supposed to get solved. I tried apps. I I thought of
yeah,
making an app, and then I thought apps won't do it because Google has restrictions and app cannot do much if you're just like. So I explored that software angle. Then started thinking on hardware. So I actually went
hmm,
and created a screen guard which was
okay,
dotted like a matte screen guard. You
okay,
know. So what
okay,
I thought was if
okay,
I reduce the clarity of the smartphone, it'll be
hmm,
difficult for people to look at it, and so they won't
hmm,
look at it much.
yeah,
You know. So I went to that extent. And I thought that's probably not
okay,
gonna do it. And then I
yeah,
arrived at a new operating system focused on distraction limitation as a concept.
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, this is beautiful. This is gonna work. But I also knew
Hmm.
that I'm not gonna be able to raise money for it. So I wrote the open pitch and it got viral. 3 million views. And I was like
Huh.
so overwhelmed. It was so beautiful. And
Yeah.
that's how I'm doing it now. I've raised 1.3 crores out of the 40 crores
Hmm.
I'm wanting to raise. So
Okay.
once I've reached 10 cr, I'll start hiring. Uh, you know,
Hmm.
so that's the goal. 40 cr is the goal. We are already at 1.3.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. So, Acha, like, what according to you think will be the problem when you build Seneca?
There'll be no problem.
नहीं मेरा point ये है कि like see social medias are also slowly evolving into a place where you can make it a living
Yeah,
basically
yeah. So make a living.
like this
When you
huh
talk about creators or whatever, there's not just
yeah
one phone, right? People have laptops. People have different devices. People have
Yeah.
It's basically this: you're a fat person, you gained a lot of weight,
Huh.
you become unhealthy.
Yeah.
What do?
Yeah.
You take a gym membership,
Yeah.
right? Seneca
Yeah.
is that gym membership. You're addicted to your smartphone,
Mm.
it's become your cocaine, it's your heroin. You're waking up, sleeping,
Yeah.
everything, you're on the phone. You know, you
Yeah.
are fed up. What do? You take a
Mm.
Seneca and see what works out. You know, it's a 12,000,
Yeah.
15,000 rupee phone. You buy this
Mm.
phone and use it as a second
Mm.
device, you know,
Yeah.
or first device, essentially. Second device becomes your original, the old bad phone, right? It,
Mm.
and if you're not a creator, if this is not what you do for a living, because even as a creator, so called, you know, you've got to unplug, right? You
Yeah.
can't just be hooked to the screen all the time. It's gonna make you mad, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Seneca is for, it's just inevitable, man. You know, I give you a challenge. Take a 3 day
Mm.
detox, okay?
Yeah.
3 day detox.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
WhatsApp, no nothing, just emails on laptop, and no Instagram, no social media. Come back after 3 days and tell me how you feel. It's gonna feel like a
Yeah.
different life. I do a 4 day detox every month. You know, I go to
Okay.
detox every once in a while, 3 days, 4 days, at least 4 days a month. It feels awesome. It's like it's like
Yeah.
a meditation now. You know, living without your
Yeah.
phone, living without social
Yeah.
media is as good as meditation. I challenge you to try it. It'll feel beautiful. And imagine that feeling sustained on Seneca, because you're connected anyway. You're
Yeah.
not gonna get disconnected all of a sudden, right? People are like,
Yeah.
phone
Yeah.
छीन लिया तो मैं क्या? कुछ नहीं है
Yeah.
भाई. You have the
Yeah. Yeah.
laptop. You know, you have
Yeah.
everything. You know, just plug in the
Yeah.
laptop and see what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's about it.
That's about it. I think like a man, like every man who has a fragile male ego, I think I need to take that challenge up now.
That challenge literally
Yeah. Yeah.
changed my life. Yeah, it gave me a new perspective. You
Yeah.
know, I became so productive.
Huh.
Last detox, it was
Mm.
just a 4 day detox. I wrote a song. I finished a song in those 4 days. I read a book.
Yeah.
I read
Huh.
so much. I was like a gyani after
Mm.
those 4 days. It was like I came back from enlightenment, man, into the dirty big bad world. You know, and that's
Yeah.
just the phone.
Yeah.
Indians are spending 6 hours a day on phone, and on an
Mm. Mm.
average.
Mm. Huh. On
That's
an average.
fucked up, because you have 12 waking hours only.
Yeah.
You know,
Huh. And that's
yeah, you
half.
sleep for 8 hours, 9 hours, you wake up, you get ready, you eat food, you left with just 12 waking hours in a day.
Yeah.
And you're
Mm.
spending half of them looking on a screen. How fucked up is that? You know?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? I mean,
Yeah.
just imagine somebody telling you that you're gonna be spending half your life looking
Mm.
at a screen
And
and
doing
doing
nothing,
nothing,
just
just scrolling endlessly.
scrolling up.
It's like they
Yeah.
legalized heroin. You know, it's heroin.
Yeah, like I think there's one series, I think social in I
Y-
for social network nahi, not the social network. There's one social dilemma. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that
It's
was
a
the name of the
documentary on
series.
Netflix.
Haha. They said that there's only two industries that call their uh, consumers users, drugs and social
Absolutely,
media.
and they're right. I watched that, and it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah. But like, what are the features you're thinking of
Four
keeping on the
features:
phone?
navigation,
Okay,
maps,
okay,
finance,
hmm,
payments, all sorts of,
okay,
messaging, WhatsApp, Signal,
hmm, hmm,
and
hmm.
learning.
Okay. So, acha, one thing though, like the phone that you're gonna use needs to be the touchscreen or needs to be
No,
that
no,
one
it's a
with the
proper
keypad?
smartphone. Yeah, it's a
Huh.
proper smartphone.
So you're gonna have like the features gonna be limited, but you're gonna have the essentials like
Good
camera,
camera, great
like
camera, you know?
navigation,
Yeah,
great camera, phone
yeah,
calls. Got it.
everything. It's not gonna take you to Stone Age.
Acha, but but my point is like you're gonna have your own
Yes,
operating
yes,
system
yes.
then?
That's the
That's
real
because
product,
like
right? That's what we're building.
that's the real product, like because if you're gonna have a Google, essentially people are gonna download
No, no, no.
everything. That
No,
doesn't
no, no,
make
no.
sense anymore. Yeah. So like, how long have you been working on
Since the
this
beginning
then?
of this year, actually.
Since the
Yes.
2023.
I launched the pitch
So
in
like,
January, and that's
hmm.
since then I've been on it.
So you got the idea after that challenge you took basically? Is that the,
No, no,
if
no.
I'm
I've
correct,
been thinking about,
the
as
way?
I said, I had been thinking about this for a long time. Addiction is
Huh.
very close to me as a subject. I don't
Yeah.
drink alcohol. I've never smoked a cigarette. I've never gotten drunk in my life because I've
Hmm.
been prone to addiction. And people are
Ah,
prone to
yeah.
addiction, they don't admit it. But I admit it,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
have been very, very passionate about this idea of addiction and how it takes people
Hmm.
on. And the biggest
Hmm.
addiction I found out was the
Hmm.
smartphone addiction. And I've been very passionate about this for a very, very long time. It's just that I finally
Yeah.
took the step in 2023. Godspeed.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. But I also wanted to learn more about like your previous startup experiences. You did your first startup when you were 20 or
I
21, I
was
guess.
I
You
was
in
a
the first
first
year
year
of the
of
college,
college, so
19.
that was a
So
yeah.
that's nine.
That I was 19
Hmm.
probably,
That was 19.
and
Hmm.
it was basically a university journey. So what I found out was that IITs are great; they're beautiful. Whenever somebody is from an IIT, Economic
Hmm.
Times or every publication mentions that this person is from IIT. IIT kids do this, IIT
Yeah.
Kanpur kids do this, and IIT Bombay kids do
Yeah.
this, and so on. And let's say
Yeah.
it recently happened, by the way, and I wrote a post on it as well. A great invention, something great happens outside IITs, and the
Yeah.
publications don't
Yeah.
mention the college name at all in the
Yeah.
entire article.
They
I
don't.
mean, forget about the
They don't.
headline. They don't even mention the college
Huh.
name. Like it's like a sin. And that's
Yeah.
caste system, man. That's wrong. You know.
Yeah.
So
Agree.
I wanted to make a platform which branded people who are not from IITs, which is basically
Hmm.
99% of people, because talent exists
Yeah.
everywhere. You know, in those two
Huh.
particular years, the guy couldn't get his mind straight. Whatever happened, he fell in
Hmm.
love, he fell into depression. You know, he
Yeah.
got an accident or whatever happened, and he couldn't be in an IIT. Doesn't make him a dumb fuck, right?
Huh.
Let's
Yeah.
agree that most people who go to uh, second tier colleges are dumb fucks, but
Hmm.
even there is great talent. Like in a second tier college, you'll
Hmm.
find out one guy who's awesome, right? Or two guys who are awesome,
Yeah.
right? Or five
Yeah.
guys who are like superstars, and they
Yeah.
should come out, right? They should be known, and that was my idea, that there's talent everywhere, and that talent
Hmm.
is deliberately getting ignored because we are just choosing to brand IITs by not branding everybody else. So that's how Testament
Hmm.
began. And then
Yeah.
Testament got shut down because the funding we raised got pulled over, and we had 12,000 subscribers of the paper. So I
Hmm.
started providing training and development services to those 12,000 people. We started Facebook pages. We reached like 1.3 million pages, people on pages. Our Facebook pages had a cumulative reach of 1.3 million people, 13 lakh. And
Yeah.
training and development got picked
Hmm.
up. But I figured out people don't want to pay for training. So what we did was we started giving students training projects, like marketing
Yeah.
projects, sales projects, research projects, you know,
Hmm.
and so on. So it's like uh,
Hmm.
uh, that picked up that picked
Hmm.
up. So the manpower outsourcing game that picked up, and we started doing projects for Fortune 500 companies. And as soon as we were graduating, we were doing like 1.2 crores in revenue, without ever
Yeah.
having raised money even from our parents, right? And then
Yeah.
our startup started. We expanded to Mumbai, and uh,
Hmm.
we worked with 1,500 people in 300 cities of the country, for
Yeah.
100 plus companies of all shapes and sizes. We worked
All
on
shapes and
ground,
sizes. Yeah.
we on
Hmm.
it was just beautiful. And then we invested a lot of money into technologies. Our We wanted to go app, and we wanted to go tech, because we were a service company, and service
Hmm.
companies don't, you know the VC ecosystem doesn't appreciate service companies, and they are slow to grow. So we wanted to make tech. We made three apps. We invested in three technologies, great technologies. They didn't work. We ended up
Okay.
losing 40 lakhs of our personal money,
Okay.
which we had
Hmm.
accumulated as profits. We had to close the Mumbai office and then, the Delhi office as well. And then I started my second company, which was Spothealth. And Spothealth
Hmm.
was a social network focused on health with cloud kitchens. So it was a community based
Got
health
it.
network. We were doing really well.
Okay.
We were growing from one food cart to five
Hmm.
food carts and then two cloud kitchens in Gurgaon and in Dwarka. And,
Got
but
it.
then COVID happened. Right when we
Hmm.
inaugurated our Gurgaon cloud kitchen, COVID happened and then we got
Hmm.
screwed, man. It was just, and then we lost 20 lakh more in Spot Health. And
Yeah.
Spot Health ended in 2021.
Okay.
And that's when so some health problems happened to me in the middle,
Hmm.
due to which I had to
Yeah.
like make the decision of actually leaving Spot Health. And
Yeah.
thankfully I left Spot Health, and in 2021 in December it got over. 2022 I just focused on a few entrepreneurial ideas. I experimented with a lot of ideas related to health, related to what I was going through and some other, and then I focused on music. And
Yeah.
2023 I came back with Seneca. So essentially
Got it.
that was the journey.
Got it. Got it. But like with the cloud kitchens for this spot health, like what were you making? Basically diet
No, no,
plans
no, no.
that
We
we
were
take them
making
since long time.
the guilt food, like tasty food which people eat, mainstream food, but
Hmm.
healthy.
Hmm.
So we were making
Okay.
momos, let's say. So those momos were
Hmm.
whole wheat momos without Ajinomoto, less salt, fat-free
Okay.
sugar, sugar-free, fat-free
Okay.
sauces, and so on. And we were making sprouts momos. So we had created
Oh.
a machine which could grow sprouts, which were like 300% more nutritious than regular sprouts. They were super sprouts. We were
Okay.
from DRDO. We worked at DRDO for a while, and we created a machine which could grow sprouts at Siachen. So when we brought that machine over
Oh.
to Delhi and Pune and everywhere, we've noticed that the sprouts were like this long. They were super sprouts, and we got them tested.
Yeah.
So their protein content, their vitamin content, their enzyme content, their omega 3, omega 6, it was just out of the charts. So we started
Got
building
it.
a mainstream food outlet, a food chain around those
Mm-hmm.
sprouts. So initially,
Yeah.
Spot Health was sprouts, where we made dishes from those super sprouts, right?
Okay.
Those, and it was organic. So we didn't use any
Hmm.
chemicals to make those sprouts,
Hmm.
but they were huge and they were extraordinarily nutritive. So we did that and they became sprouts, then grew, and then it became Spot Health when I
Hmm.
hired my old techie from Testament. And then Spot Health
Okay.
grew, and then,
Yeah.
COVID happened. So,
That's
nah,
sad, man.
that's
That's
happened.
sad.
That happens, and it was good
Yeah.
that it happened actually, because what I realized was that health food as an industry doesn't
Hmm.
exist.
In India or
In
doesn't exist
India,
at
I'm
all?
talking about. Nobody gives a shit
Okay.
about health. People want
Hmm.
to eat chole bhature, and
Yeah.
it's zero. It's just no use being in the health business.
Uh, until unless you are selling diabetes tablets to
Yeah, yeah,
60
yeah.
year old,
That is
you're not
healthcare.
making growth.
I'm talking about preventive healthcare.
Okay, sorry. Preventive, that no one
No,
gives a
no, no,
shit
no.
about.
So people are
Yeah.
when people get serious about
Yeah.
health when they get a heart attack,
Huh. Yeah.
unfortunately, or they get
Yeah.
serious
Yeah.
diabetes. That's when they. So
Yeah.
healthcare is obviously healthcare, but the lifestyle
Hmm.
preventive healthcare business doesn't exist in India. So
Yeah.
no matter how hard we would have tried at Spot Health, it would never
Hmm.
have become huge, which I would have liked it to be.
Hmm.
So in a way,
Yeah.
COVID happened and saved us from all that grunt work.
Hmm. In
Yeah.
some sense, yeah. But actually, you mentioned you have worked in DRDO. So what were you
I was
doing
a
like in
research
DRDO
intern.
basically? Like elaborate, like what were you researching
So
on
we were
basically?
researching on a two-wheeler ambulance. And Yeah.
Acha.
And
Okay.
we did a lot of, we were mechanical engineers. So we did
Okay.
a lot of work. And then my co-founder was also in DRDO way earlier, and he was a
Hmm.
biotechnologist. So he did this Spruce machine, that
Oh,
pressure
okay.
machine and stuff. So he was the one who made
Yeah.
that. And so, you know,
So, Acha, when someone makes machine like that, does DRDO gets the
so
patent or the
DRDO
person who
couldn't
made
make
it?
that machine. Of course, it was a patent of, it was, the research was working at DRDO. However, the DRDO couldn't take that machine ever. So
Okay.
then it was
Hmm.
basically became a product of our company.
Okay. So, like any like, why couldn't DRDO
So a lot
take
of
it? Or
projects
just they have
happen,
to do it?
and some products can
Uh-huh.
get used, some product cannot get used, you know. And DRDO
Okay.
has
For
a long
this. Hmm.
gestation cycle,
Hmm.
like 10, 12 years to actually induct products in the forces.
Oh,
So it's just a very
makes
complicated
sense.
bureaucratic process.
And on the project you were working on, two-wheeler ambulance, did it move
It moved
forward?
forward, but it's still not ready. It's been 10 years.
It's been
Yeah.
10 years. Like, okay, there's still 2 year left, man. Like, they go for 12 years,
Yeah.
right?
So it's just,
अभी 2 साल
you
बचे
never
हैं
know.
यार. No, you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it used to. It takes so
No,
much
no, it
time.
does
First time
actually.
I'm
So
hearing this.
just notice, right? Arjun tank or Tejas aircraft.
Hmm.
You know about Tejas aircraft? Indian
Yeah,
Air Force just recruited Tejas aircraft, right? It
I've
was
heard about.
sanctioned in
I've heard
1976.
about.
It took 40 years to make that plane, man. 40 years. 1970s, back in 1970s,
40.
it was advanced plane. Right now, it's outdated even
Yeah,
before it came. You
it's
know,
yeah.
Arjun tank.
So, अच्छा
Arjun
the
tank,
हाँ
1981.
okay, okay,
1981 got
yeah,
inducted in 2015,
हाँ
I guess.
हाँ.
This is what happens. This was used to happen, thank God to this government. Now they've privatized the
हाँ.
defense research and they've privatized defense
Oh,
manufacturing. Now things will happen quickly and are happening quickly. But before this
hmm,
government, that's how it used to happen.
yeah. अच्छा, okay. One question. Like you have watched Iron Man?
Iron Man, I get no, I don't watch. I have watched Iron Man, I guess, a bits of it, but
Okay,
I'm not
okay.
a Marvel DC kind of a person. I'm a serious cinema buff. So
अच्छा,
yeah,
cinema
yeah.
buff. अच्छा, I'll get to that
Okay.
lately, but one
Haha.
question before that. Like, what happens in one of the movies of Iron movie is that in America they have privatized defense. They can sell missiles to
Mhm.
government. So, like, since that government has privatized all defense research and all, my question was that how long before it becomes that uh, they sell for destruction basically? Like in Iron
And
Man
defense
2,
is
they were
for
like, "Acha,
destruction.
meri defense was destruction." Like, when does they lose the
They're
morality?
not moral.
They're not moral.
It's not about morality or anything, it's
Huh,
just
yeah.
it's about making things
Who?
happen. If you want to make a gun, like we
Yeah.
made insas.
Basically,
Insas.
yeah. Who holds the gun
No, no,
holds the
no. It's
power.
about we made the gun. DRDO made insas.
Huh,
It doesn't work,
huh,
man. We sent
yeah.
that gun to Nepal and they returned it to us.
Huh.
कह रहे हैं कि बर्फ में नहीं चलती, अटक जाती है.
Acha.
you know so
Huh,
forget about
huh.
morality, man. You have a gun, it should work, right?
Mm, yeah.
If what
Yeah.
how good is the gun if it jams and you are on the front
Yeah.
line, man? Fuck the morality.
Hmm.
I need a gun that works, you know
No, no, makes
yeah.
sense. No, makes
That's
no, makes sense. Acha, mm,
no, no,
you were
yeah,
saying,
that's about it. I mean,
okay. So like cinema buff, like so you are in which era you like the most about
so
cinema? Is
from
there any particular era that
1967
you
to
like?
2016 I've watched at least 4 movies of each year. uh, at each
Hmm.
year. I'm a marathon movie buff. Okay, so
Okay.
I like 70s and 90s the most.
70s and 90s. So I think the era of Amitabh Bachchan to the starting of Shah Rukh Khan.
Oh no, 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 not
If I
Bollywood. Bollywood 90s was
Oh,
horrible,
sorry,
horrible,
horrible.
horrible.
So you
Bollywood
horrible.
90s was Auntie Number One. That was Bollywood 90s.
Govinda,
Govindas
Govinda.
and Shah Rukh Khan and Salman Khan.
Ah,
The I don't
yeah,
want.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like cancer for me. You know, I would avoid
Acha.
it like the
Huh.
plague, like cancer. but
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
it's
Hollywood
English
basically.
movies mostly. And in
Got it.
Hindi, I really liked
Mm.
2000 2000s, late 2000s and
To-
early 2010s.
Okay.
So that was an era where art
Okay.
movies sort of flourished in India.
Hmm.
Khosla Ka Khosla, Manorama 6 Feet Under, Mithya, Bheja Fry, Daswadanya, the whole Aankhon Dekhi got released in 2012, and so on.
Uh,
Masan and Newton and the entire Drishyam films era. So in India, if I ask the best era, it was 2000, post 2007
hmm.
and till 2018, and then even now we are making some good stuff.
Okay. Any movie that you liked lately that
Yeah,
came
yeah,
out?
yeah. I contributed in the crowdfunding campaign of RKRK, Rajat Kapoor direction, and
Hmm.
it was a beautiful movie. So I love
Oh,
that movie. Rajat Kapoor is a I'm a huge admirer of Rajat Kapoor. And art movies, like if you talk about Scam 92. Scam
hmm.
92 was a miraculous show. It was the best thing that has happened to Indian cinema ever.
Hmm.
Have you watched
Yeah.
Scam 92?
I
It's
watched
just
the
it's
series.
incredible, and that's the kind of stuff I like, and I'm so glad that we are finally making it.
Yeah. But as a from the viewpoint of as an artist, like what did you like about Scam Identity so much?
Scam 1992, I liked everything. So it was just a miracle that that show got made. The fact,
Hmm.
I'll tell you everything. First of all, the story was incredible. Obviously, the raw material is great. When you have solid raw material like the literature, it's a real life story.
Yeah.
It's just, you can't beat
Hmm.
that, right? Nobody can beat a beautiful story. Number one, it's a great story. Number two, the screenplay was extraordinary. So I've watched a lot of real life, uh, you know, uh, series, TV shows based on real life, like Dropout and We Crashed and Super Pumped, People vs. O.J. Simpson, and so many others. Right, great stuff. But it wasn't influenced by any
Yeah.
of those. Narcos,
Hmm.
beautiful stuff.
Narcos also. Yeah.
Yeah.
Narcos. Yeah.
So, but Scam 92 was its own voice. It has its own voice, like Gujarati,
Yeah.
Indian voice, right? And then screenplay was awesome. Then cinematography was awesome. Like how it was
Okay.
shot was beautiful. Like they showed
Hmm.
uh, late 80s, early 90s, late
Hmm.
90s, early 2000s,
Early
and
2000. Yeah.
beautifully shot film. And then it was so well acted. It was just
Huh.
extraordinarily well acted. And then
Huh.
finally, it was so well edited. It was
Hmm.
tight, and music. The
Yeah. Music was
Achint,
good.
miraculous.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
universe conspired to make that show. You know, yeah, it's some
To put it in the best
yeah,
way
it's
possible.
just
Yeah.
universe conspired
Yeah.
and just made sure that everything was perfect, and that show will be remembered, man. You just it
It
will
will
be
be.
remembered
Hmm.
because nothing like that has ever been done in Indian cinema before, and I'm sure it'll be
Yeah.
difficult to match that in future as well.
Hmm. Possible. But coming back to the English movies, what are the ones that you really like?
So I am a
I
huge
mean,
Pulp Fiction fan. I'm a huge
okay.
Shawshank Redemption fan. I'm basically 90s is
Hmm.
my favorite era. Good
Yeah.
90s made great movies. Like that's when
Okay.
independent cinema sort of turned into mainstream with Miramax.
Okay.
And second favorite era is 70s, Dustin Hoffman, Al Pacino, and
Hmm.
the entire meaningful, because 60s was western cinema. It was high on action and tuck 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 and stuff, good, the bad, the ugly. 70s was
Yeah.
more human and more dramatic, family oriented, like, you know,
Hmm.
light. So, and
Yeah.
meaningful, very meaningful. So, Dustin, if you look at it, Dog Day Afternoon from Al Pacino, Godfather,
Yeah.
to all,
Hi, I was coming to Godfather. How did
it
you like
was it
the Godfather?
era defining, and Godfather is just one. You look
Yeah.
at Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
then if you look at Kramer versus Kramer, uh,
Yeah.
Marathon Man, All the President's Men,
Mm.
and so many good
I think Forrest Gump came
94,
at the
94.
same 94.
Forrest Gump
90
is the
came
same year when Pulp Fiction and Shawshank came. Yeah,
got
so
it.
Forrest Gump is
Yeah.
90s. That era is 90s. That's beautiful era, you know? So
Mm.
this
Yeah.
it's just, and I want to do this, I want to be, when I write, I feel like when I write music, I want to make music
Yeah.
so it comes in a beautiful movie or a beautiful series.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
my songs to get fit
Yeah.
in there, so I watch them with a lot of passion, man. I really, really watch
Got
them
it.
with a lot of passion.
Yeah. So like at this point, so acha, what about like series, like OTT series? What do you think about that? Like, do you watch them or just
No, no,
movies?
I don't watch series at all. I mean, I try and avoid series as much as possible because I feel series waste time. And series
Really?
are corporate plots to waste people's time. So what happens is when you're a
Hmm.
good writer,
Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
and you
Hmm.
write a story, and the story has
Hmm.
an beginning, as an it has an end. You know, once
Yeah.
that story gets over,
Yeah.
you write the next best thing, the new thing. That's why you
Hmm.
are a writer and not a sarkari employee.
Ha.
But what happens with
Yeah.
series is you write a story
Ha.
and producers are saying,
Hmm.
"Oh, continue the story. Let's keep continuing the story."
Ha.
And if you're a good
Yeah.
writer, you wouldn't do that, man. Beyond the point.
Ha.
You want to
Ha.
do new things. Why would you want to be like employed for 10 years writing the same story
Yeah.
and wasting?
Hmm.
So, cliffhangers, you just keep bringing cliffhangers and keep, you know,
At the end of every
yeah, yeah.
series,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
Every
just
season,
bunch
yeah,
of
yeah. Ha.
bullshit. And I try to
Hmm.
avoid a series
Hmm.
as much as possible. But I do end up watching
Yeah.
good series. I really like the series based on real life because that you cannot
Okay.
manufacture. That's a story. It's an beginning, end,
Hmm.
and then you're over with it. Like I really like Dropout,
The-
the Theranos based. uh, We Crashed, the Uber story. I'm sorry,
Hmm.
the WeWork
Hmm.
story. Then Super Pumped, the Uber story. People versus OJ
Yeah.
Simpson, and so on and so on. So
Yeah.
I do watch fictional stories sometimes, series, but I don't.
Yeah.
I try to avoid them because they are huge time sinks.
One thing about like I learned about like whether it's songs or movies or series, like I was listening to this live stream over YouTube of a creator when he said something like on the lines of there's beauty in obstacles. Like you like a song because it ends after 2 minutes.
Yeah,
If that song continues for an hour, you won't like it.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
beauty.
And there should be an end. I
There should be, and that's what makes it beautiful
absolutely.
in
And
some sense.
what I see is,
Yeah,
let's say I watch a series, a good series, a Succession,
yeah.
let's say, brilliant series, everything great.
Huh.
It's 40 hours.
I haven't watched that.
It's for
I with section I watched the one episode. It made me feel boring, so I dropped out.
okay, but it's something that's said to be the best television possible. Very
Yeah.
intelligent,
Okay.
everything is great. But I watch
Okay.
Succession and it's 40 hours of
Huh.
content, art.
Yeah.
Okay, 40 hours. That
Huh.
is 20
Yeah.
movies.
Hmm.
I could have watched 20 different worlds. I could have experienced 20 different lives, 20 different stories,
Yeah.
20 different
Yeah.
universes, 20 different
Hmm.
feelings, you know? But I
Hmm. Hmm.
wasted 40 hours into
Hmm.
just one story.
Yeah.
That's not a good
Hmm.
deal for me. I'd want
Yeah.
20 different lives. There's
Yeah.
so much difference in, it's like you watch 20 different movies and it's, if they are good movies and you got to pick good movies, of course, it's just unbelievable. And even if 20 out of 20 you got 3 4 good movies, they're going to have more impact than a series which took 40 hours of yours. But
Yeah.
notwithstanding, Succession was a great show. But that's my thesis
Hmm.
on watching movies against watching series.
The only thing I stand with when it comes to series is that you get to know the character better than you do in
Of course,
movies,
because
in
it's
some
just
sense.
time, right? It's time.
Like yeah, it just you kind of end up investing a lot. And like one thing that I also like key, and it's also like some movies are just not great. Like in some sense, series because they have more time, they usually do a good job at displaying the gray areas of a character, as in
No,
terms of movies. Very few movies do a good job. I'm not
yeah,
saying that
of
no movie
course,
does it,
movies are very
but
hard here. Just making
yeah,
everything happen in 3 hours or 2 hours is very hard. With series, it's
yeah,
easy. You get a lot of time, you
yeah.
know.
You get a lot of time.
So
Mm.
we got to give it to the movies that
Yeah,
showing an entire story and making it
yeah,
happen in just 2.5 hours. That's
and still doing a good
yeah,
job at it.
it's much harder firstly, and it's also more meaningful,
Mm.
and it's just better use of time, better ROI as far as
Yeah,
time is concerned. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, by the way, did you watch Game of Thrones?
I have watched bits and pieces of it. Yes.
Actually, you haven't watched the
Yeah,
full.
I haven't watched the last season. People said it was nice. And
Yeah, yeah. Last season was, if you haven't watched it, like there's no problem with that because they totally screwed up the
so that's what
last
happens,
season.
right? How much
So
do you expect the
yeah,
writers to
yeah,
keep doing यार मतलब 6 seasons
yeah,
10 साल हो
yeah.
गए काम ही नहीं है कुछ और
10 साल हो गए. हाँ
करे
हाँ.
जा रहे हैं वही चीज लिखे जा रहे हैं कोई मर रहा है कोई जी रहा
Yeah.
है ये सब ये एक मूवी
हाँ.
बनाओ यार
इसलिए something like Dark Matter becomes so like obsolete after a point. Like nobody wanna watch
yeah
that.
absolutely you
Yeah,
got to end where it ends and
yeah,
begin something new
yeah.
more inspiring
हाँ. Yeah. Where do you get like? So I've heard from so many characters that like actors who used to play a character for a while now, and they were like, "I've done this enough. Not that I hate the character. I just want to do something more. I do something new. I want to get into a new character. I want to see the life through that ideas."
yeah absolutely that's exactly what I feel.
Yeah, that's so. So Nishant Mittal, thank you for doing
thank you
this. Thank you for being on Inexperienced.
thank you and I wish you all the luck I hope your podcast
Thanks,
goes
man.
way up where do you put
Yeah.
up in Jamshedpur
Spotify. Where I live in is in Jamshedpur. Where I put the content is like
no
on
no no
Spotify and YouTube.
No, no, I meant where you put up. So you live in Jamshedpur. I hope
Yeah, yeah,
you become so big that you can call people over to Jamshedpur for your podcasts,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
they'd be
yeah,
happy to visit the city for you. You become like a Joe
yeah,
Rogan on
yeah.
your own. Yeah, all the
Well, I
best.
become Joe Rogan. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, man.
All
So
the best.
everybody listening to this podcast, let's meet up here on the next episode.
Yeah,
Thank you.
take